Hello, beloveds. So good to connect in here. And just welcoming this energy, this transition, particularly after this huge portal crossing with the eclipses. And bringing in the fullness of Aries, of sovereignty, of autonomy, of right action, and the spirit of the warrior that says today is a good day to die. Being a full moon, it's the perfect time to be releasing the things that stand in the way of us being able to take the actions that set us upon the trajectory that fulfills our life's greatest purpose and gives us meaning. And because there's been so much focus around relationship, this has been the environment in which most of us have been asked to create the change, to take the action. Are there cords that need to be severed? Are there words that need to be spoken? Aries tends to have this very fiery volition, this energy that helps us to get things done, and when it's not managed well, it can turn to anger. So is any of that present for you? Has any of that been coming up for you? It's something that I've absolutely noticed in my own field of where boundaries have been crossed, where I've allowed boundaries to be crossed, and what's really required of me. What do I need to say? What actions do I need to take in order to be in right alignment with myself? Forgive me, I've got incense burning and it's a bit loud as I've had to close the windows here. I'm staying in a place that's next to an airport, so it can be really loud during the day. So but even as I'm doing this, it's a metaphor in itself of like the fire that can get burning too hot at times. And when it does, it can cloud our judgment. It can cause irritation. It can prevent us from seeing clearly. This is all relative. So let's use the gift of these oracle cards to start to drive a deeper meaning, deeper understanding of the energy that we are working with. So calling upon the highest light of truth, of wisdom, to reveal what we may not have been willing to see until now, to bring forth revelation that will help us to eliminate the suffering in our relationships, the suffering in our own life, and the suffering of the world. And giving thanks that this is so. So as we start to bring in the energy of this lunar cycle and see how is it that we're being asked to work with the elements that are already in our life. One of the things I've been exploring myself, and it feels like a relative theme, is that we're always looking for the next thing, right? Like it's about the destination, not so much about where we've come from or being in the moment. And I'm speaking for myself and what I have been observing as of late. And the human nature. This is just human nature that we can quickly move on to the next thing instead of really appreciating what we currently have. And it feels like that's part of the medicine of this time, is like being able to evaluate the gifts that are already in our life and what can we create, what can we collaborate and commune with that's already there, instead of seeking it out in other things and other places. And I think that this is where there's a tie into value Our whole value system, currency is getting reworked. And what we're having to do in order to get in front of that is to start assessing value. What we give value to, what is value in our life, what's valuable to us, and then how do we find a currency and exchange rate for that. There's such big pieces moving in the collective. I find it really interesting being outside of the US and having a little bit more perspective as I'm further away, and some contrast to be able to feel the energetic difference in the American field. So before I say any more, let's let the cards offer us some insights. So our opportunity is what they're saying. This is the theme of the reading. The opportunity with this full moon is the sun. So it's the central point in the sky. This is the life-giving force. It is the masculine. Aries, the fire energy, the warrior, the independent one, the sovereign one. So with the sun showing up in the reading, this is a very powerful influence during this time. The theme of autonomy, of the masculine force, seems like it is present. This balancing of the masculine force is one of the things that I'm getting, is like, are we in right relationship with the masculine in our life? And what are the dynamics in your current life situations that are reflecting imbalances or maybe balance of the masculine force? So this is the brilliant light of all for all beings, and allows life to sprout from the dark feminine earth. It can be gentle and warming, close to sunrise or sunset, or it can be destructive, as in its zenith during a scorching summer. Have you been hibernating? Have you been introspective? It's time to come out of your cave and savor the life-giving light of our star. The sun rekindles your passion and your creative energy. Life is calling you to shine your light and to add your lightness and humor to the seriousness around you. Get out and play. This feels to be... We'll have to see what else comes in, because this could either be an opportunity to lighten our load a bit, or this could be an opportunity to prepare. Yeah, coming home to the earth is what will bring balance. So what I'm being shown right now is, let's say if you knew that something were to happen, if you knew that, like the day you were going to die, or if you knew when somebody else was going to pass, or when it would be the last time that your child did a certain thing during the developmental years, like, how would you have maybe changed the way that you were showing up during that period of time? Would you have done something different? Would you have worked less? Would you have spent more time with that person? Would you have said something different? So that's what I'm being shown, is like lightening up and experiencing more joy, creating those pockets of time to get away from maybe some of the more tempting, like these fear-based thoughts that are really provoking us and wanting us to worry and give them energy. It's very tempting to get caught in what's going on in the world. It's tempting to get caught in what we're seeing in our own circumstances. And this is an invitation that says, focus on what you want to experience more of right now, rather than what you don't want to experience, and let yourself play a bit. Let yourself enjoy being outside. Seek relationship with the earth, the spirit of the earth. Seek communion, and in that, start to acknowledge, what is your relationship with her? Are there places that feel out of balance? Do you feel that you're tending the earth in a good way? You're tending that relationship, because it is through our connection with the earth that we are connected with our intuition. And our intuition is going to know beyond the brain what to do when it's time for a change. You know, whenever there is some kind of geomagnetic change, or there is, let's say, like an earthquake or some kind of natural disaster, the animals know first. Why? Because they are connected with the earth. And so that field of information is not separate from the animals. It is instinctual, it is intuitive. And so there's a call to do that. There's a call to get outside, to be playful, to be joyful, to be light, to let go of the worries, to create plenty of space to do that, and to do that in nature. To recognize, evaluate your relationship with the natural world and your intuition and your body. What is your body telling you right now? For those back in America, there's a preparation for hibernation, because you're in fall, you're moving towards winter. It's time to prepare to go under the ground. And if you knew it was going to be a long winter, would you spend a little bit more time outside? Would you maybe do something that you have been putting off? Would you consider spending a little extra money to have an experience that you've been wanting to have, that you feel like you need? There's relief in this. There is a silver lining. For some of you, especially those that have been going through a particularly hard time for these last couple of months, maybe longer, this is a time that you actually can receive some rest and some relief. This says hope, mercy, it's over. So this is the closing too, because it is the full moon after the eclipse. This is the closing of all of the things that we have been developing and strategizing and working through for the last 6 months. And that there are things about that are complete now. There are things about the evolutionary cycles of relationship that might be at their point of completion at this point. And so there's an opportunity to take a breath, to use this liminal space to reacquaint yourself with your body, with the earth, and to ask yourself, what is it that you're wanting to experience more of? And is that where your energy is going? Because this is the language of currency. You know, money is a physical system that we have implemented to use as an exchange of currency. But currency, underneath all of that, is energy. So where are you investing? What's your investment? Where is your energy going? Do you have energy stored for the winter? start to think in those terms. Start to think in terms of energy currency. And do you feel wealthy? Do you feel that you have placed your energy and your investments in places that are wise, places that facilitate connection, that facilitate growth? Is there potential for growth there? Is there potential for helping more than yourself? And if not, it's good just to be aware of it right now. To be aware of it, to consider what's preventing you from being in the state of awareness, for one thing, but also preventing you from investing in the ways that you want to see a return, you want to see interest on, that you want to see that return on investment. And even though we're through the eclipse, I can still just feel a bit of this erratic energy, very difficult to maintain consistent connection, consistent fluidity, even just like fluid thought process. It says there's something very special and sacred about the moment after it stops raining. The atmosphere has released all that it was holding, and in turn, the earth has been cleansed, replenished, and nourished. It's a similar feeling to the moment after we stop crying. As those salty, healing waters fall, they activate oxytocin and endorphins, which create a shift in how we feel. What was once overwhelming now seems possible, and while we may not know it consciously, noticeable growth will soon follow. After the rain is all about hope, healing, beginnings, and endings. Emotions are soothed, broken hearts are on the mend. Times of trial are over, mercy can be felt. There's a moment of relief. A new encouraging silver lining can now be made out in the distance. What's been challenging and difficult has or is about to ease up. If you've been going through a challenging time, this card is here to reassure you that things are about to ease. You've been through the worst of it, and now hope is here. These past few weeks, months, or even years haven't been straightforward. They've likely asked you to dig deep and endure hardships that have tested you. But now, at long last, there are smooth seas ahead. What you've learned and how you've grown can never be taken from you. And now it's time to enjoy the warmth of the blessings that life has in store for you. Glorious new beginnings are possible. So what are you ready to release? What are you ready to release? I'd like to hear in the comments if you want to just drop one single word. And the wisdom of the elders, la palabra antigua. I suppose I should probably read from the English part since I don't read Spanish. At least I don't read Spanish well. The ancestors was an invitation to return to the knowledge and wisdom that's already inside of you. Remember that deep inside of you are your ancestors' gifts, their values, and sacred beliefs. If you are looking for guidance in your life, seek a book of sacred writings or an elder in your community. Consider making an altar to honor and connect with your ancestors. So this goes back to this point of reconnection with intuition, with the elements that are already present in your life. Are you out looking and seeking for information, validation, resources that are already currently within your world? And are you giving them the value that they deserve? This is how the value piece, how currency all connects in. And this feels like it's a time where less is more, where the simpler the better. So with that, I'm actually going to conclude the reading. I'm going to let this be the point of completion. Reflecting back on the theme at this time is the masculine polarity, our relationship to it, utilizing the masculine force to take aligned action by acknowledging the ways that we are currently limiting ourselves from being with what we already have, holding the value, the appreciation, the gratitude, and investing in what we want rather than what we don't want. I hope that this message serves you well. If it did, please hit like. If you want more, subscribe, and I will catch you again for the new moon in 2 weeks. Until then, keep it simple and stay pure. Pura vida.